So this is the famous palace?
This is it, David's palace.
Here's the big question. Is the time of David historical or mythological?
Unites all the 12 tribes, builds the foundation of the house of God, of what will be the temple.
For decades, the idea of finding King David's palace was treated as unrealistic. A few archaeologists refused to accept that. They dug where no one else was looking and kept going when doubt grew louder. What they eventually uncovered stunned even the experts involved. The problem archaeology could not solve. For much of modern archaeology, King David was not treated as a confirmed ruler, but as a question that refused to settle. Ancient texts described him as a powerful king who ruled from Jerusalem and governed a unified kingdom. According to these texts, David ruled over multiple tribes, controlled large territories, and established Jerusalem as a political center. His authority was described as stretching across much of the Central Highlands, from the southern regions of Judah to the northern tribal lands. He was portrayed as a ruler who commanded armies, collected tribute, appointed officials, and governed through a centralized system. Yet when archaeologists went looking for physical proof, the ground remained silent. There were no palaces that could be confidently linked to his reign, no royal complexes, no clear signs of centralized power that matched the scale described in the texts. Over time, that silence became a problem. The issue was not disbelief in ancient writing, it was evidence. Archaeology depends on material remains such as stones, walls, building layouts, and objects left behind. For decades, excavations in Jerusalem and surrounding areas failed to produce structures that looked like royal architecture from the 10th century BCE. What researchers did find were modest remains and limited construction. Nothing clearly suggested a capital city ruling over a large and organized kingdom. According to many excavation reports, Jerusalem during this period appeared more like a small hill settlement than the seat of royal power described in ancient accounts. As these findings accumulated, scholarly confidence shifted. Many researchers began to argue that the biblical description of David had been exaggerated over time. According to this view, David may have existed, but not as a powerful monarch. Some scholars suggested he was a local leader or a tribal figure, perhaps influential in his immediate region, but not the ruler of a centralized state. This interpretation slowly gained traction because it appeared to align with what archaeology was showing and what it was failing to show. One issue stood above all others. A king who ruled a territory as large as the ancient texts described would require a palace, not a symbolic home, but a functional seat of power. A place for administration, storage, planning, and control. Yet no structure of that kind had been clearly identified. Reports from earlier excavations repeatedly noted the absence of elite buildings from David's time. Without a palace, the idea of a strong Davidic kingdom became harder to defend. Over time, the missing palace stopped being a gap and became an argument. This shift created tension within the field. Some researchers expressed frustration. Others showed caution. A few were openly skeptical of the biblical account. Academic conferences and publications increasingly treated David as a marginal figure. According to some scholarly interpretations, the united monarchy described in ancient texts was more ideological than historical, shaped by later writers rather than reflecting early political reality. What made the situation more intense was how settled the debate began to feel. New students entering the field were often taught that David's kingdom lacked material support. The idea of a palace from his reign was treated as unlikely. In some circles, it was treated as impossible. That conclusion shaped how excavations were planned and where researchers chose to dig. Yet this consensus carried unease beneath it. Some archaeologists privately questioned whether the problem lay not with David, but with the search itself. According to reports from within academic circles, a few researchers believed that early Judah might not reveal its secrets in major cities like Jerusalem alone. They suspected that important clues could exist in places long ignored, including border regions and fortified sites that did not fit the traditional focus of excavation. That uncertainty did not discourage everyone. The archaeologists who refused to drop the question While much of the academic world had grown comfortable with the idea that King David's kingdom was small and limited, not everyone accepted that conclusion. Two archaeologists in particular began to question whether the problem lay in the past or in modern assumptions. Professor Yossi Garfinkel of the Hebrew University and Sar Ganor of the Israel Antiquities Authority were not driven by tradition or religious